Hello and welcome. My name's Chris Cann with Mining Journal, and I'm here with John Mulligan, who is Climate Change Lead and Market Relations Director with the World Gold Council. And this is part of our climate change program and the second interview in a three-part series where we're looking at the upcoming COP26 meeting and its implications for mining specifically. Hi, John.
Hi, Chris.
How do you expect the gold industry specifically will need to evolve as some of the outputs from COP26 come into fruition, probably immediately, and then looking at policy going forward?
So I think when you talk about the gold industry, I think we're talking about gold mining specifically.
Gold mining specifically.
And I think we've already seen as we approach COP a collaborative or concerted movement from the gold sector, certainly as represented by our membership, and we represent about 60% or so, I think, of corporate annual gold production. So just on Friday, I think it was, just the week just gone, we announced, or the members announced, that they agree to disclose on climate-related strategies and positions via TCFD. And I think that is part of this evolution. It basically is an evolution to tell people what you're doing in a consistent, clear way. But of course, if you're telling them, then you need to have a plan. And I think that is key. What COP26 has done, because it's so focused on net zero and net zero pathways, it's galvanized sectoral efforts to say, okay, well, what are we doing to meet or move towards net zero? And I think that's part of the evolution. So that's at one level. I think after COP, you will start to see a movement from commitment to action, because 2050 is a long way away. But what you are seeing, and certainly stakeholders and investors are asking for it, is intermediate plans, intermediate targets. And so that, I think, is the immediate next stage in terms of what gold mining companies will be doing. I think it's what pretty much all sectors actually will be asked to do.
Okay, so the gold mining sector is, in this sense, kind of leading the way as a metal grouping. I mean, what exactly does this evolution now mean in terms of consistency of reporting? Obviously very important when you're dealing with stakeholders, governments and investors specifically. In terms of these incremental targets, is this like a year-on-year commitment to publish targets and pathways? What does it actually mean practically for policy in the corporates?
Well, once you start disclosing, once you start reporting, and reporting is a fairly complex issue in terms of the TCFD framework. There are four pillars. Basically, you start with kind of governance, strategy, risk management, and then measurement and metrics and targets. And so building the capacity to that, building the ability and the resources to be able to do it takes time for some companies if they haven't already started on the road. So when we looked at our membership, we realized that over half had started, which was good. But once you get to the point where you've got full disclosure, then yes, you'll be measured on the progress that you're reporting, and that's key, I think. So yes, it allows all of those stakeholders you mentioned the ability to measure progress. I think in terms of gold mining specifically, it is all about electricity and energy. It's all about decarbonizing either the electricity you generate or that you purchase. And I think that is the bulk of the emissions from gold mining. It's also the opportunity, because the global economy has to be doing that anyway, and gold mining may contribute to it, but also benefit from it.
Okay. Gold specifically as a metal sector versus other sectors can look a bit different. How do you see the impact from COP26 and whatever comes out of it in terms of regulation and policy on gold mining? Where does it differ, and where is it similar to other metal sectors?
Sure. And the difference, well, there's a couple of differences that are key. First of all, gold is the only mine product that's a financial asset. So there are a whole different there's a whole different form of scrutiny in terms of gold as an asset. That doesn't really apply to most other mine products. But in terms of gold and its ability to decarbonize and its ability to meet expectations that emerge from COP, then probably it's in a slightly stronger position, because it isn't really burdened by having hefty Scope 3 emissions. Okay. Basically, the uses of gold don't accumulate further emissions, and that is it makes the opportunity simple, clear, and concentrated.
Okay, so when you're talking about the financial asset element of the gold industry, that effectively means there are more eyes on gold and expectations from a broader stakeholder group are bearing down on the industry?
Well, I wouldn't say bearing down on the industry. I'd say that yes, that it has a broader role to play. So you can see it as a burden, but you can see it as an opportunity. Basically, gold as an asset may also have a role to play in this decarbonised economy. So the slightly different set of expectations.
Okay, and taking you back to the TCFD and the reporting standards and coordinating that effort, it sounds like there's a leading group of the gold industry membership, or the World Gold Council membership, I should say, that can help and collaborate with those groups that are not quite there yet. How does it work? Well, firstly, is that the case? Is there that collaborative spirit within the organisation? Secondly, is there an opportunity for the gold mining sector to collaborate with other metal parts? Things like iron ore, obviously, which has a whole different set of challenges. Are there opportunities to collaborate across the broader industry, or is each metal grouping, for want of a better term, running its own race towards net zero?
Well, it's a few questions there, I think.
There were, yeah. Sorry.
The first one, we always say, one size doesn't fit all in terms of what this means, what reporting means, where you are on the path to net zero, what capacity you have to, first of all, implement, make the plans and implement them. That will vary from company to company. But yes, there is definitely opportunities for collaborative engagement, and that really takes the form of kind of peer learning, the ability for those that have already moved towards full disclosure to say, well, this is our experience. Frankly, it's been a learning exercise for nearly all companies, but there is certainly an opportunity to define an efficient roadmap. That I think is what's been lacking with TCFD. A lot of people have come to this new and said, okay, well, what does it mean in practice for us to undertake this form of disclosure we haven't before? So we're having those conversations now. Our members are having them too. So yes, I think within the gold sector and with our membership, definitely the opportunity for collaborative efforts. We have those conversations beyond that in the mining sector. The challenges there, as I've already kind of alluded to, is the difference in terms of a company which has 60, 70, 80% of its emissions in downstream scope 3 compared to one that doesn't, means that the reporting and measurement process is very different. So peer learning, yes, information exchange, a better, clearer roadmap to disclosure, but there will undoubtedly be a great deal of variance from company to company, metal to metal.
But would you say the intent is there? And I guess I'm looking at when you're saying scope 1 is common, use of energy is common, all these factors that are common. Is there a collaborative spirit across industry from what you're seeing?
The short answer is yes. And so the conversations around energy, the opportunities around energy are so much more broad and diverse than they were just a couple of years ago. And companies are undoubtedly exchanging information and trying to define what good practice looks like, what opportunities there are, who are suppliers that can support strategy and so on. So yes, I think there's a collaborative spirit. I think the idea is that we're all in this together to some extent, and it really should cut across sectors too. I mean, the point of net zero is we all have to move towards it. We'll all be perhaps on a different stage on the pathway, but we all need to move in the same direction.
John Mulligan, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.